Kal Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Bava Kamma daf Amud Aleph 81A1. We're going to start on the last line of Amud Bet. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita, Asara Tenaim Hitna Yehoshua. Yehoshua bin Nun came and he instituted, right? Him and his Bedin on Yoshevei Eretz Yisrael, 10 different conditions. Number one, right? 10 different rules, if you want to call them, rules or regulations of living in the land of Israel. Number one, Shimarim b'chodashim, which means everybody's allowed to come and they're allowed to take their private animals into the forests. And the forest owners are not going to be makpid on that. Number two, melaktim etzim misadotehem. They're allowed to pick up small twigs or whatever it is in the fields of other people, and they're not going to be makpid. Number three, melaktim asabim b'chol makom chutz mitiltan. You're allowed to also take grass for the ma'achal be'ema in any place, except for a sadeh tiltan, which is there basically it grows and it's very, very good. And if you take it out, it's going to destroy it. Number four, kotmim netiyot bechol makom, right? You're allowed to come and you're allowed to cut off soft branches in any place in order to come into larakivotam is like to graft them, right? And you're not going to be makpid except for grufiot, which is basically going to be two egrofim, which they have to leave off of the zait. Number five, umayan ayotze b'techila. When you have a mayan coming out at the beginning, right, from a private property, so imagine you have a mayan, which is a spring coming out of your private property. People in the city could come and benefit from that spring. Number six, umechakin, right? That means everyone's allowed to come and to start taking to fish with a haka. Haka is a vav shel barzel. It's like a hook, right, of barzel. Biyamash shel Tveria, and the Yam of Tveria. That means even though technically speaking it belongs to Shevet Naftali, everybody was allowed to fish there. Uvilvad shelo yifros kela, you're not allowed to come and put like a kanim to grab, like, the traps. Yamidat asfina, right? Because then you're actually going to stop all the other boats in the area, so that doesn't help. Okay. Number seven, v'nifnin la'achorei gader, right? You're allowed to make your necessities behind the gader of a private person. Even if it's going to be a sadeh full of karkom and everything, you're allowed to do that. Okay? Right? This we learned in Masechta. You're allowed to walk in the shvilei reshut until the reviyah hashniya, until the second time that it rains, right, in the field, in Bar Cheshvan, right, from which is the 17th of Bar Cheshvan. Number 8, mistalkin tzidei hadrachim mipnei yetidot hadrachim. You go to the sides of the drachim because of the yetidot drachim. So you're allowed to go on the sides because of it says because of like the different pegs, they become hardened and this and that. So you go on the side. Okay. Number 9, hatoeh ben akramin mefasek ve'oleh mefasek ve'yoreh. If you come and you get stuck in between vineyards, you're allowed to be menatek the zmorot which stop you until you get out. So basically, you're allowed to break all the different branches until you basically get out of the place. Okay, number 10, met mitzvah, konet mekomo. A met mitzvah he acquires his place where he died. So wherever he died, he acquires that place. Okay, makes sense? Now that the Gemara just brought down the 10 takanot, now we're going to analyze each one of the 10. So number 1, shiyu marim b'chodashim. What does that mean? That everyone's allowed to come and they're allowed to graze in the forest. Amar Rav Papa, says Rav Papa, lo amaran. What are we dealing with? Ela daka, bema daka. Right? Right? That's what he says over here. For example, kvasim v'izim. Okay? Begasa. And they are coming and they're doing it in a very, very big forest. So again, one more time. Behema daka in a ya'ar gasa. So we're talking about a small animals in big forest. Daka and gasa. So the daka is on the animals and the gasa is on the forest. Aval, daka bedaka, but if it's a small animals in a small forest, or gasa begasa, a big animal in a big forest, no, they're not allowed to do that. It causes the damages, v'chule. V'chol sheken, and all the more so, gasa bedaka, that you're not allowed to do b'ma gasa in a ya'ar daka. For sure, you're not allowed to do that. Okay? Fine. Next, melaktim etzim mesedotehem. They're going to be melaket etzim in the fields. So he says, Lo amana, what are we dealing with? Ela behizmi vehige. We're talking about shichim, like small, thorns. Aval bishar etzim, but other types of of like bushes and woods. No. Only if it's going to be attached. But if it's going to be trushin, no. Even if it's going to be attached to the ground, only if it's going to be lach, if it's going to be moist. But if it's going to be dry, you're not allowed to take them. As long as you're not going to come, you're not going to be taking away the shoresh. Because obviously, if you take away the shoresh, come on, you took away the entire thing. Okay, so that was going to be the second takana. Takana shlishit, mlaktin asabim. Yeah, there's a lot of people here that they're melaket atzabim. Yeah? 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 מלקטין עצבים. יש אנשים שמלקטים כל הזמן עצבים. כל הזמן הם מלקטים עצבים. עצבים. יש כאלה שעצבים. Yeah? So he says, מלקטים עצבים בכל מקום חוץ מבשדה טילטן. למימרא דל טילטן מעלו לו עצבים. He says, I don't understand you. A field of tiltan. How do you say tiltan in English? Fenugreek. Yeah, fenugreek. You're going to tell me that it actually brings up grass? Well, meaning we have a contradiction. Titan shalta im mine asabim, right? You don't have to take it up. So I'm going to review your answers. Like a question. Kan lezera vekan lezirim. Here the Mishnah is talking about that they do it for the zraim. And here we're talking about the zirim, the givolim. The zera kashu la asabim nimacha shelo la. The zirim alalek dechikai me bnei asabim mirakba. Okay, which means that they're going to come and they're going to take it. Another answer, Ibai Teima, Kan le Adam ve kan le Behema. Here we're talking about Ma'achal Adam, and here we're talking about Ma'achal Behema. Given that Behema udezare, since you're coming and you're planting it for a Ma'achal Behema, Asabim namim vaile. So therefore you're going to come, and you also want the Asabim as well. So says the Gemara, Menaya Dinan, how do you know, right? How do we know what did he plant it for, whether it's Ma'achal Adam, Ma'achal Behema? So Amina Papa Shane Mishare, he says, if the Simchiat Tiltan were Musudarim, right? So therefore we know that it was Ma'achal Adam. But if it's just Stam all over the place, right? So therefore we know that it's going to be Ma'achal Behema. Yeah? Okay? Kotmin Netiyah. This is now Takana Revi'it. Kotmin Netiyah. What is the Kotmin? They come, they cut off the soft branches. Bechol Makom. Chutz min ha-grofiot shel Zayit. Except for the grofiot of Zayit. Okay, Pirushu, Rabbi Tanchum, Rabbi Brias, Mishum Zaken Echad. Bezayit, we're talking about a Zayit, Kabetza, which is going to be the Gova of Kabetza min ha-karka, which means you're allowed to come, you're allowed to break it. Bekanim gefanim, when we're talking about the Kanim and the Gefanim, which is basically the grapes and things like that, and the reeds, min ha-pkak ulmala, from the Kesher, which is by the Geza, upwards. And to do with all the other Ilanot, min ubo shel Ilan, from the soft, how do you say the ubo in English?
From the tree's fruits.
The tree's fruits? Yeah, well, it does say mipidio, but it's like but it's the soft ones. Okay, but not from the cut of the, meaning you could only take the soft, the soft and thin ones, but not the thick branches. Mina chadash, right, from one which is just new, sheno se perot, it does not do any fruits, and not from the old one that does make perot, mina makom sheno ro'et hachama, the place that does not see the sun. Velo mimakom pe'alef amubet 81b, right? Velo mimakom shelo et hachama, and not from the place that you're going to see the sun. Shneimar umimeget tivot shamech, which means the perot metukim, they are the ones that grow in the sun. Meaning, if you want good fruits, they grow in the sun. So if they don't grow in the sun, that's what you have to do it in places which does not grow in the sun, because that way it's not going to come. It's not going to do it. Yeah. What happens if you have places where they don't see the sun? Huh? There's certain places you never see the sun. Yeah. That's why the fruits that grow there, they're always grumpy. Yeah, you never heard?
It's not possible.
The two dots on Pei Aleph Amubet, second line. So if you have a spring that comes out from your field, the people of the city are allowed to start taking from it. Amar Rav Huna, noten lo damim. Yeah, he's allowed to, but he has to pay him. But we don't pass on that. Really, be'emet, you don't have to pay. You could take from the spring and there's no problem. Umechakim biyama, the sixth one. Mechakim biyama shel Tveria. You're allowed to fish in the sea of Tveria. But you're not allowed to put a trap there. And stop your boat. But you're allowed to come and start trapping, right, with the reshet michmanot, which is different types of traps. That means you can't put out. What's the difference though? The kela was like kanim. I don't know. I guess it was a certain type of a. It was a type of like a net. Yeah, but the next one was nets. How does it translate that then? Because those are nets.
Fence, underwater fence. However, when they ensnare fish with various types of nets.
So there is nets. So I don't know. I guess it's different types of nets. The first one was of kanim, of like reeds. The second one is like, different types of things. Fine. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned to the Braita. Barishona at the beginning, itnu shvatim zein zeh shelo yifros keliyav yamin tzvina v'tzadu b'shadum. At the beginning, all the different shiftei Yisrael, they meet in a condition that you're not allowed to come and start putting these reeds to start trapping and stopping the boat there in the bat. You're allowed to do it in the Shetot Mechumot. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. Yamash shel Tveria b'chilko shel Naftali hayta. The Yam of Tveria was in the Chelek of Naftali. Not only that, he didn't even take a piece of land, right, which is going to be of the Resh of the Yag, Bidroma in the south. To fulfill that which is written, Yam Bidarom Yerasha, that he's going to be Yoresh, also the Yam Tveria, with the southern beaches. Imachofa Dromi. That's what Yam, the sea, which is the Yam of Tveria. Bidarom, what is the Rom? The south part of the Tveria river, which is going to be the Chofa Dromi of Yam Tveria. Tanya, we learned in the Braita, Bishumam Lazar Omer, Tlushim Be'arim, all the etzim which are going to be Tlushim, which are in the mountains, Becheska Kol HaShvatim Emundim, belongs to everybody. Umechubarim, but if it's going to be Mechubar, Becheska Toto Shevet, which means, if they come onto a mountain, and there were twigs and all this, meaning all detached, it belongs to everybody. But if it's attached to a tree, that only belongs to who? To the shevet of the same tribe that it belongs to. There's not one shevet that doesn't have these things. Meaning every single shevet is going to have part of a mountain. Shefila, Negev, Emek, I don't know you would translate all these things. Basically, it's going to be valleys, lowlands, countryside, valley, and the mountain. Yeah, the first one. Yeah. Says the Pasuk. The same thing you're going to find by the Kenanim, they were Shechinim. So it comes out that each one had a portion, right? Okay, in part of it. Fine. Takana Shvit, seventh one. Yeah, 2 dots. You're allowed to do your necessities behind the fence. Even if you have a field full of karkom they usually translate as saffron. Yeah, so you're allowed to do it. That's only if you needed to take a stone for your necessities. Remember, we spoke about this. But they used to use stones for the necessities, right, instead of paper. So he says, right. So Amar Rav Chasta, Shabbat, even Shabbat you're allowed to take it, right? So Morzutra Chasida, Shakilu Madar. So the Marzutra Chasida, he once took a tzror from the Geder on Shabbat, and then he put it back. And then he told the Shamash, right? Right, exactly. During the thing, Zil Shirke, go plaster the wall again to make sure that it looks nice. So not bad. He used it as a necessity, put it back in the wall, and then told the Shamash the next day, go plaster it. Yeah? Okay. Next one. Next takana. You're allowed to go on the path until the second rain. Rabbi says, but for us in Babel, even when it comes out tal balayla, right, the dew in the nighttime, it's also bad, the drisat regel. So because it destroys the seeds and everything. Takana Shminit, 8th one. You're allowed to go on the sides of the drachim because of the Yetidot drachim. Shmuel and Rav Yehuda were going on the path. So Shmuel used to go on the sides of the roads. Elmaleh Rav Yehuda says, 1 second. So I don't understand you. That was Yoshua bin Nun in Eretz Yisrael. We're in Bavel. That applies even in Bavel. Elmaleh, he says, Shani Omer afilu b'chutz haaretz. I say the same halacha applies even in chutz haaretz. I mean, you're allowed to come and start, so basically all the Tanaim that he did even applies in chutz haaretz. Rabbi were traveling on the path. Right? Istalku letzidei adrachim. They went on the tzidei adrachim. Bava Kamma daf Rabbi Yehuda nekusa kamayu. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Nekusa was coming in front of them. Elmaleh Rabbi leRuchia says Rabbi to Ruchia, mi hu zeh shemareh gedula befarim. Who's this guy that is showing gedula in front of us? Yeah. That means basically he's being a gaftan. Meaning if he's a gaftan, he's not a Yerushalayim. Right? It doesn't make sense. If a person is gavtan, he's not Yireh Shamayim. Yireh Shamayim means he's got fear of heaven. And therefore he has to have what? Humbleness. Why? Ekev anava yirat Hashem. It's pasuk mefurash. Somebody once came to me, they go, I went to them and said, no, how's everything? He goes, no, Eretz Yisrael is incredible. One thing, I don't know how much more Torah I got, but I got a lot more Yirat Shamayim. I was going to tell him that's the only thing that you don't have. Right? Because if you're going to come and you're going to start telling a guy, I've got so much more Yirat Shamayim, that's Gava. Ekev anava Yirat Hashem. Right? Anava comes Yirat Shamayim, not Gava. So the guy comes with Gava that it's wrong address. So Elmaleh Rabbi Chia says Rabbi Chia, Shema Rabbi Yehuda ben Nekusa Talmidihu. Maybe it's Rabbi Yehuda ben Nekusa, but he does everything with Shem Shemayim. Right? Why? Because he doesn't want to be mitpaer betzidkuto. Kimatu legabe, when they got to him, Chazi, he saw him. Elmaleh, he says, he loved Yehuda ben Nekusa. If it wasn't you, because it was shakach begiza the parzela. I will come and I will take it off with a garzen shel barzel, which means I will put you in nidui. Right? Because basically he was coming with psiot gasot in front of him, because he didn't want to be somech on takanat Yehoshua. So they were going to tell him, like, yeah, Aywa, you have a takana, why are you not doing it? But rather, because he was doing L'Shem Shemayim, so therefore that's why he was doing it. They didn't mind. Okay? Takana Teshit, ninth takana. Hato'eh ben akramim, somebody that gets tangled up between the vineyards. Mafsik, v'yored mafsik v'oleh, he's allowed to break out of it. That means even though when he's coming in and out, he has to break some branches, there's no problem. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Haroeh et chavero to'eh ben akramim. If you're going to come and see your friend that gets tangled up in the vineyards, you get him out. Until you go out. So it says the Gemara, what is v'chen? It's the exact same case. What does it mean? And also, what do you mean and also? It's the exact same thing. If he himself gets lost, meaning number one is you help your friend to get out, even though you're going to be breaking all these things. And number two is you yourself. Well, obviously. So it says the Gemara, right? Because you know how to get him out. But he himself, right? Right, that he does not know how is he going up. Lo nifsug. You're not going to let him. Right? So you're going to come and you're going to take him back. Kamash Malan comes teach you that even he himself is allowed to do so. Okay, makes sense? Even he himself is allowed to do, not only his friend. Because I would have said that, listen, your friend, because you know how to get there. So even though you have to break the way out, but you know how to get him straight to the city without, all the zigzags. But if you yourself get lost, you don't know where to go. So you're basically just breaking out and listen, kaddish on everything that goes on the sides. You understand? Yeah, you're allowed to do it. Ha doraita. It says the Gemara, but I don't understand you. It's a mitzvah doraita that if you find somebody being toeh baderech, help them out. The Tanya, was we just learned to the right hashavat gufo minayin. How do you know that there's hashavat aveda? What is hashavat aveda? Somebody loses something, you return it to them. What about hashavat gufo? Tamulumar vashevoto lo. What is vashevoto? The o is on him. So answers the Gemara, the doraita udekai b'mitzvah. The din of the doraita is if the person gets lost, you're obligated to leave him b'mitzvah ken. Right? That means he has to go around. Atahu takin, but Yehoshua came and he was mitaken, that he can basically just break out and that's it. He doesn't have to he just breaks outside and that's it. The main thing is get out of the vineyard. Okay? 10th takana. Umet mitzvah kana mekomo. The mitzvah is going to acquire his place. Or meaning we have a contradiction. If you're going to come and you're going to find a deceased person, right? In the Isratia is a public domain. Mefaneo limina Isratia, just one, put him to the right or to the left. Isratia sedebu, right? So, right, Isratia, nekuda. So basically you're going to put him to the left or the right of the Isratia. If it's going to be in a sedebur, sedeni, mefaneo listebur, so put him into the stebur, which means if he's going to be in the different places, put him in the sedebur. Sedenir, sedezerem, sedenir. Hayushtem burot, if they're both of them, basically they're different types of fields. So sedenir is one which is plowed, and sedebur is a place which is not plowed. Right. It's like a wild field, but nobody plows it. You don't do anything to it. So therefore, put him to the stebur, obviously, and bury him there. Why? Because if you're going to put him in the stenid, you're destroying everything of the plowing. Okay, because now you just plowed, and now you're going to have to bury somebody there. So put him in the stebur. If it's going to be stenid and stezera, put him in the stenid. If both of them were burot or nidot or zruot, take him wherever you want. Because anyway, you cannot be me'akev. Because anyway, so it's mashma that a men mitzvah does not connect them. You see here that in certain circumstances, you could actually move him to the side or move him from one place to another. You could do that. Samar Bavai, he says Bavai, no, you're on the person, the dead person is on the border. So since he's on the border, so once you could already move him, you can move him anywhere you want. Because he's biduk on the border. So it's not that he was in the middle of the steni. No. He's on the border between one another. So you can move him to one side. So that way you could do. So says the Gemara, Amli, they said Asara. So that's how we finished the 10 of them. Okay, so says the Gemara, there's only 10 takanot of Yoshua. Hanichal says there's 11 of them. Right? So answers the Gemara, right? They're going to go b'shvilei hareshut. Right? What does that mean, malchim b'shvilei hareshut? They go on the shvilei hareshut. Shlomo was the one that said that. The times we learned to the right, if there's no more fruits in the fields, he doesn't let anybody go into his fields. What are the people going to say? What does he care? If he got rid of all the fruits, so what does he care? The people are going to start walking through his field. Right? What does that mean? If you could be tov, where are you going to be ra? Which means if you could help other people and it's not going to cause you any damage, why wouldn't you want to do it? So says the Gemara, miktiv miyot tov al tikre ra, right? Miyot tov al tikare ra. He says, in yes, it's written, al timnatov mi be'alav diot le'el yadecha la'asot. Meaning, if you're going to stop good from other people when you have no ifsed, you're called ra. Imagine you could do somebody a favor and you're not losing anything. You're called ra. It's powerful. Yeah? Fine. So says the Gemara, there's no other 10, there's only the 10 takanot. Vayika de Rabbi Yehuda, you have Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya we learned to the right, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yehuda said, Bishat otzad zivalim, right? In the zmanim of the otzad zivalim, Adam motzi zivlo, right? L'rishut rabim, right? The person could come and take out his zevel to Rishut rabim, vitzovro, and he could leave it there for 30 days. Kadesh yeni shof, in order that it's going to get trampled upon by bereglei Adam reglei bema. But that's what he did. Meaning that you see from here that they used to use like the fertilizer, so they used to actually come and trample it. By the way, you should know, in Canada they have this, right? I don't know if they have this anywhere else in the world, but they have, right? Okay, so the blue box we also have here. But here it's a joke, the blue box, because if you don't want, you don't need to recycle. But in Canada, you're obligated to recycle. If you don't recycle, you get a ticket. Yeah, if they come and they open up garbage. Also? Yeah, okay, you get a ticket for it. But now in Toronto, in Canada, right? In Toronto, in Canada, right? You have another thing which is called the green box. What is the green box? For example, soiled diapers, soiled tissues, baby wipes, food, like leftover foods, all those things, you throw it in a green box. And in the green box, they come and they use it to decompose. They use it as fertilizer. So you have like a special green box that they come and they collect, the blue box and the green box. Now, if you come and you start switching around, you get tickets. Like mamash, you get fines and warnings and this and that and mamash. So therefore, the garbage comes around, right, once every 2 weeks. Wow. So garbage is every 2 weeks, and green box and blue box is every week. You know what that is? That means they obligate you so much to recycle and to do all these things that the garbage is once every 2 weeks. Not only is it once every 2 weeks, you have a quota. I don't remember if it's like 2 bags or I don't know what. And if you want more bags, you have to pay for it. So you buy, and you have to buy stickers, and then you put the sticker on the extra, bags, and you put it over there in order to. It's mamash. It's crazy.
Emerging markets.
Huh?
It's not the developer.
Yeah. What can you do? Fine. So says the Gemara. Yeah, there's another takana also. Rabbi Ishmael ben Or, Rabbi Yochanan ben Loka, the Tanya we learned in a bright time. Tonight betin hu שיהיה זה יורה לתוך שדה חברו וקוצץ סוחו של חברו להציל נחיל שלו. So there's a tonight betting that somebody could go down into his friend's field and he could actually cut the socho, right, which is an ananaf of his friend, in order to save, right, the beehive, the bee colony, right, of his friend, right, of his own, right, and then you just have to pay for it. So she is this, you could pour out your wine and you could save the dvash, the oil, the honey, right, of his friend, and then notel de right, mitoch dushano shel chavro, and then you could take the value of the wine from the honey. You understand? This is time bet. You understand? Everyone understands what happened. Imagine right now, I've got this. It's full of wine. How much is the wine? Let's say it's $20. there's honey. The barrel of the honey of my friend just broke. If I have, no, not that צריך, אני יכול. אבל כשאני שופך את זה, אני מנצל את הדבש שלו, ואז אני גובה את היין מהדבש שלו. I'm allowed to do that. Sorry, I've got wine. Let's say it's $20. The honey is $50. His barrel of honey just broke. What do? I pour out my wine, I get rid of it, and I quickly save his honey. And then I could charge him for the wine from my honey. Okay. I mean, we don't say, listen, you got rid of it, Kaddish. No. I just saved your thing, I'm charging you now for it. And I'm charging you from the honey. So I charge you from the honey, that which I saved. So I charge you the wine. The price of the wine.
If it's high value, it's high value.
Yeah, whatever it is. The wine from against the honey.
Not a cheaper one.
No. Whatever the wine was. Yeah. So therefore the question though is, one second, look how many Tanai bettings. There's another Tanai betting also. I could take down wood and put on the pishtan, and I could take the demand the same thing. So answers the Gemara, here we're talking about deot of yechidim, meaning all of these brightas that we said, it was not that everybody held it. It was just like one tana, another tana, but it was yechidim. It wasn't like a takana of everybody. So because of that, we only brought down the Tanaim. Okay.